Scotland and the wider political world were left in shock and mourning after the sudden death of Alex Salmond, former First Minister of Scotland, at the age of 69. Salmond, a towering figure in both Scottish and UK politics, passed away after collapsing at an international conference in North Macedonia. His death marks the end of an era for a man who devoted much of his life to the cause of Scottish independence and whose leadership transformed the Scottish National Party, SNP, from a marginal political movement into the dominant force in Scottish politics. Salmond's illness and death. The tragic events unfolded during an international conference in North Macedonia, where Salmond was attending as a guest speaker. The North Macedonian government confirmed that Salmond lost consciousness at the Inex Olgica hotel near the city of Ohrid at approximately 15:30 local time on a Saturday afternoon. Local media reported that Salmond collapsed while attending a lunch following the conference. Despite immediate efforts to revive him, he was pronounced dead at the scene. The cause of death, according to the Press Association news agency, is believed to have been a heart attack, though official confirmation is still awaited. The suddenness of Salmond's passing has left many stunned. He had remained active in public life, leading his own political party, ALBA, and participating in international events. Those close to him were aware of no immediate health concerns, making his death all the more shocking for family, friends, and colleagues alike. Tributes pour in. In the wake of Salmond's death, tributes flooded in from across the political spectrum. Salmond was a polarizing figure, but even those who disagreed with his political stance acknowledged the impact he had on Scottish and UK politics. British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer was among the first to express his condolences, describing Salmond as a monumental figure whose influence would not be forgotten. He reshaped the political landscape of Scotland and the United Kingdom. His contribution to public service was immense, and his legacy will endure for generations. Nicola Sturgeon, Salmond's successor as First Minister, offered a deeply personal tribute. Sturgeon, who had worked closely with Salmond for years, spoke of their partnership as one of the most successful in UK politics. She acknowledged Salmond as her mentor, someone who had guided her in her early political career. Alex was a giant of the independence movement and a man who was deeply committed to the cause of Scotland. He was a mentor to me, and while we later had our differences, that does not diminish the enormous impact he had on my life and the political landscape of this country. Even the British monarchy took note of Salmond's passing. King Charles, in a statement, said that both he and Queen Camilla were greatly saddened to hear of Salmond's death. His devotion to Scotland drove his decades of public service. We extend our deep condolences to his family and loved ones at this difficult time. The King's message read, reflecting the broader sense of loss that transcended political boundaries. Political legacy. Alex Salmond's life and career were defined by his passionate belief in Scottish independence. Born on December 31, 1954, in Linlithgow, West Lothian, Salmond grew up in a politically aware household. His father was a civil servant and his mother a nurse, instilling in him a sense of public duty from a young age. He went on to study economics and history at the University of St Andrews, where he became involved in student politics. His political career began in earnest in the late 1970s when he joined the SNP, then a relatively small and marginalized political party. The SNP's primary goal was to secure Scottish independence from the United Kingdom, a cause that resonated deeply with Salmond. He quickly rose through the ranks of the party, becoming one of its most prominent and charismatic leaders. Salmond first became the leader of the SNP in 1990. At the time, the party was struggling to gain mainstream support. Under Salmond's leadership, however, the SNP began to grow in both size and influence. Salmond was a gifted orator and a shrewd political strategist. He modernized the party, making it more appealing to a broader section of the Scottish electorate by focusing not only on independence, but also on social democratic policies that addressed issues like healthcare, education, and economic inequality. In 2007, after years of gradual progress, the SNP, under Salmond's leadership, won the Scottish Parliament election, marking the first time the party had secured control of the devolved Scottish government. Salmond became the first Minister of Scotland, a role he would hold for 7 years. His tenure as First Minister was defined by both his push for independence and a series of popular policies, including free prescription charges, free university tuition fees for Scottish students, and an ambitious renewable energy strategy. Perhaps the most defining moment of Salmond's political career came in 2014, when Scotland held a historic referendum on independence. Salmond had long dreamed of giving Scots the chance to decide their own future, and after years of negotiation with the UK government, he was finally able to deliver that opportunity. The independence referendum was a fiercely contested political event, with the pro-independence Yes campaign led by Salmond and the Better Together campaign, which argued for Scotland to remain part of the United Kingdom, competing for votes. In the months leading up to the vote, the polls fluctuated, and at times it appeared that the Yes side might achieve a historic victory. However, in the end, Scottish voters chose to remain in the United Kingdom by a margin of 55% to 45%. For Salmond, it was a bitter defeat, and shortly after the referendum, he resigned as First Minister, acknowledging that it was time for new leadership to take the cause forward. Controversies and legal battles. Despite his immense contributions to Scottish politics, Salmond's later years were marred by controversy. In 2018, Salmond faced allegations of sexual misconduct dating back to his time as First Minister. He strongly denied the accusations and mounted a vigorous legal defense. In January 2019, Salmond was arrested and charged with multiple counts of sexual assault, including attempted rape. The trial, which took place in early 2020, captivated the Scottish public, with many seeing it as a moment of reckoning for one of the country's most significant political figures. Salmond was ultimately acquitted of all charges after a high-profile trial at the High Court in Edinburgh. The jury returned not guilty verdicts on most of the charges and found others not proven, a unique verdict in Scottish law that indicates insufficient evidence for conviction. Salmond maintained throughout the trial that the allegations were politically motivated and part of a deliberate campaign to destroy his reputation. The trial strained Salmond's relationship with Nicola Sturgeon, his former deputy and successor as First Minister. Sturgeon's government was accused of mishandling the initial investigation into the complaints against Salmond, leading to a public falling out between the two. The split between Salmond and Sturgeon created deep divisions within the SNP and the broader independence movement, with some loyal to Salmond and others backing Sturgeon. After his acquittal, Salmond launched a new political party, Alba, which aimed to further the cause of Scottish independence. However, the party struggled to gain traction, and in the 2021 Scottish Parliament election, Alba failed to win any seats. Despite the setbacks, Salmond remained a vocal advocate for independence until his death. International role and media work. In addition to his political career, Salmond had a significant presence on the international stage. He was a frequent participant in conferences and political events around the world, where he championed the cause of self-determination and independence movements. His work on the international stage included advocating for the rights of small nations and speaking out on issues such as climate change and global inequality. Salmond also dabbled in the media, hosting a show on the Russian state broadcaster RT, formerly Russia Today. His decision to work with RT was controversial, as the network is widely seen as a mouthpiece for the Russian government. Salmond defended his decision, arguing that it allowed him to reach a wider audience and discuss important issues. However, in 2022, following the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Salmond suspended his show, acknowledging the gravity of the situation and expressing solidarity with the people of Ukraine. Conclusion: a lasting legacy. Alex Salmond's sudden death marks the end of a complex and influential political life. He was a man of contradictions, a fierce advocate for Scottish independence and social justice, yet a figure whose later years were overshadowed by controversy and division. Despite these complexities, Salmond's legacy is undeniable. He transformed the SNP from a marginal party into the dominant force in Scottish politics and brought the dream of independence closer than it had ever been before.